say a few words and then turn the ceremony over to our Chairman of Administration of Justice, Professor William Hanson. So I'm Susan Sperling, the Chabot President. Very, very glad to see you here. If it's true, as the Chinese saying goes, that women hold up half the sky, then today we're honoring two women, San Leandro Police Chief Sandra Spagnoli and Hayward Police Chief Diane Urban, who have really done some heavy lifting. I believe I probably don't know the half of it, but I know that they have. Law enforcement professionals, educators, and leaders, each has risen to prominence as the first woman to serve as chiefs in their respective departments. It is a really great honor for us to be able to honor them. William Hanson, again, our Chair of Administration of Justice, will be telling us in more detail about these two extraordinary people. But I have a small anecdote I want to share while we're on the subject of heavy lifting. The first time I met Chief Urban, she told me about her workout each morning, which I believe commences at 6:30, if I'm recalling correctly. And she does this after rising at 4:30 or so to clean out a stable, at least sometimes. This is true. As someone whose morning workout consists of lifting a coffee mug and a chocolate croissant, I was impressed, and I could even say somewhat overwhelmed. I am now hoping to join her in her workout sometime, which she has very graciously invited me to do. Not that I could possibly do it or hope to keep up with her, that goes without saying, but I feel that it might help me to get some exercise just watching her. So on that note, I give you Chairman of AJ, William Hanson.
Thank you, Dr. Sperling. Yeah. I want to add my welcome to all of you and to all of our board members, elected officials, faculty and staff, and other guests. Welcome to Chabot. I want to take a few moments just to talk about why we established the Defense of Liberty Award. It raises the question, what's the relationship between crime, liberty, and democracy? When we look at the expansion of democratic governments all over the globe in recent decades and the establishment of democratic governments where they hadn't existed before, they have highlighted the challenges that they face with respect to justice and crime. Crime rates have risen in South Africa and Eastern Europe and other places where they're having democratic experiments. So when the founders wrote the Constitution of the U.S., they were well aware that in a democracy, you had to have civil liberties protected in the criminal justice system as established in our Bill of Rights. When we look at these emerging democracies, the strength and vitality and viability of those democracies really can be measured by how they address the issues of crime and criminal punishment. A prominent criminologist, Ian Loader, once asked the question, when did one last hear a police officer proclaim that his or her job is to contribute to democratic political development? Have you heard it? I haven't heard anybody say that. Moreover, when have we as citizens viewed the job of our law enforcement personnel that way? So the connection between crime and democracy is not that obvious. Criminal justice is primarily about breaking the law and about how society deals with people who break the law. Thus, a concern with crime is a concern with social order. When we pause and think about it, justice and social order are also what we want in a democracy. One second here. The connection between criminal justice and democracy is fundamental and often taken for granted where it's securely in place, like we have in America. At Chabot, we seek to make that connection explicit in our classrooms, and today we want to make that connection clear to the community at large as we inaugurate our Defense of Liberty Award to honor those in law enforcement who daily provide services that make liberty and democracy possible for all of us. So in choosing this year's award recipients, we didn't have to venture too far. In fact, we didn't even have to leave home. Our administration of justice program benefits greatly from the Hayward Police Department and from the San Leandro Police Department, who provide the lion's share of all of our faculty, some of whom are present here today. Regarding our honorees, just a quick read of their brief bios in the program inside tells you the evidence of their exceptional qualifications and experience. I know it's not lost on any of us here that both of our honorees are women. And during this Women's History Month, it is important to note that nationally, only about 2% of police chiefs are women. In California, the numbers are higher at about 11%, which translates to about 22 out of about 200. But I believe I can be fairly confident in saying that for both of our honorees, gender is perhaps irrelevant in how they do their jobs. I believe that's probably the case. But as a former civil rights and employment discrimination lawyer representing law enforcement personnel in litigation, I know that being a woman in what is a male-dominated profession has its challenges. It is seldom an asset and often a barrier. In a job where safety and security of the community is the primary charge, qualifications, not gender, not race, should determine who gets the job and who gets promoted. The fact that both of our honorees have reached the top job in their profession speaks volumes about the breadth and depth of their qualifications and the respect that they have earned from their peers. I don't think I have to say too much more than what you see in their resumes. Our 2012 award recipients honor us with their service, so please join me in congratulating Chief Sandra Spagnoli of the San Leandro PD and Chief Diane of the Hayward PD, our 2012 Defenders of Liberty. Ladies, would you come up, please? For outstanding achievements in the field of law enforcement and service that improves the safety and security and quality of life in the community, we present you with Chabot's first ever Defense of Liberty Award, Chief Diane Irvin and Chief Sandra Spagnoli. Thank you. I'll give you ladies the podium if you have any. You can tell us when you're going to come visit us and talk to our classes.
Yes, anytime that you want. How's that for an open invitation? Just very briefly, thank you so much for this honor. Just very, very much appreciate it. I was sharing a story last week for Women's History Month at City Hall. We were celebrating women and success, and one of our community members said, "Oh, I heard that you're getting an award next week at Chabot. You haven't been here very long. Do you think you earned it?" And I recognized that it was just simply ignorance that was speaking, and I said, absolutely, I've spent the last 27 years earning it, and it is truly, thank you. It is from my heart that I thank you for your support, and I know that Chief Spagnoli will have the same to say. Anything that we can do to assist the students here at Chabot, we're more than happy to do it, but we totally appreciate you recognizing what our organizations and what we do with our leadership and how we can positively impact the community. So I'm incredibly honored and humbled, and thank you from the bottom of my heart.
So I'll just ditto what she said. So first of all, I want to thank you, Professor, for inviting us here. When Chief called me and said, Chief Kitchen, who's an instructor here, called me and said, we have this idea, we want to recognize you. I was actually very honored to be recognized for this award. You know, when you talk about heavy lifting in this line of work, there is some heavy lifting, but we can't do heavy lifting alone. So I want to acknowledge some of my staff that helped me with the heavy lifting. And the first person is Captain Prico, who's in charge of operations. And then Sergeant Luis Torres, who is in charge of administration. The support service manager, Denise Lenz. The POA president and post commissioner, Mike Sobek. And my boss is Leanne Marshall, who's the assistant city manager in the back. And I I wanted to save the best for last, is our PIO, Lieutenant Jeff Tudor. So again, I want to thank you for the work that you're doing, and you make a point about connecting college into the community, and it's so important. I received a degree in administration of justice at my local college in San Mateo, and it really set the foundation for my future. I volunteered for many years in the police department before I became a police officer at the young age of 21, and now been in this business for a long time. I won't say. And the interesting and the sort of irony of this award is Diane and I have known each other for many, many years. She was my husband's boss at work at San Jose PD, and I was his boss at home. He was very lucky. Very, very lucky man. And so it's great to be standing shoulder to shoulder here with her, and then also as our adjoining communities fight public safety issues together. As the president of the California Peace Officers Association, we talk about all the social issues that are going on in the state. When you talk about, prison release and this realignment issue, we also talk about statewide issues as it relates to mentoring new police officers and getting people interested in the field. And I see all those as opportunities to connect with local community colleges to help people that are reforming their lives in prison realignment, coming back to school and getting an education and doing good for the communities. And then also in mentoring police officers, the schools really do a big part in really establishing good foundations for the future. So although I received my undergraduate and graduate degree from College of Notre Dame in Belmont, I received my AA degree, which I'm very proud of, at a local community college. So I thank you for the work that you do, and thank you for recognizing us, and appreciate this award.
Hold on for one moment. We have a representative from Senator Corbett's office here, I believe, Ms. Vela.
So on behalf of Senator Corbett, I'd like to present our two honorees who couldn't be more deserving of this inaugural award, with certificates from the State Senate. And it's because of you and your leadership in the field of law enforcement that our communities have been improved, our safety, our security, and our quality of life. So on behalf of the Senator, I present you these certificates.
Thank you. And I'll reiterate that message that Ms. Smith gave. The food is there and it's great. Please enjoy it. I'd like to thank Naomi from Fresh and Natural, our local cafe owner and caterer, for providing all this great environment and food for us. So please enjoy. Thank you.